Our society so stigmatizes bodies. And when I look, I look at Instagram and TikTok and like all of these things, like there's always a perfect body.
Stigma has impacted my care very significantly.
I think the stigma it impacts every facet of recovery and resources.
I'm infuriated by the amount of messaging and stigma that's been put on me through my life that got me to the point where I was so critical and mean to myself all the time.
A lot of people who need services for eating disorders won't even seek them out because they're embarrassed or feel stigmatized by their symptoms.
Eating disorders are really complicated and multi-layered. They don't look the same.
I didn't identify as a person who struggled with an eating disorder. I thought I was just weird, and so I hid that part of me.
I got caught very much in the diet culture cycle.
It had just been this secret that I'd had from the age of 14 to, believe it or not, 43 years old.
It's not just this the eating disorder isn't in this little box and it's done. It affects how I work, how I'm in relationship, how I move my body, how I, enjoy space and time, all of that.
And it wants to isolate you and the family and the parents too.
It's nothing I would wish on anybody. It can be all-consuming.
It's not a choice. And even if it was a small choice at the beginning, it no longer becomes a choice. After time, it owns you. And it becomes a dictator and you do as it says. Otherwise, there are terrible repercussions.
How many just normal things in our society are disordered eating and can lead to a really dangerous life experience.
I knew I needed help. I knew I couldn't get out. And I knew I could eventually die if I kept progressing the way I was progressing.
When you're in the middle of the eating disorder, it's hard to be forward-looking.
I'm finally finding medical providers that I feel comfortable with and can have conversations about my actual health and not just my weight.
I think that stigma impacts treatment and access to resources by either explicitly or implicitly denying access to resources unless you meet the preconceived notion of what an eating disorder looks like.
I had my gallbladder removed and it took 3 days of excruciating pain on the ground in a fetal position because I did not want to go to the doctor and have them tell me that it was just something that I ate or that I needed to lose weight.
Everyone is entitled to equitable health care, but yet when you live in a larger body and you go in, the first thing you're going to be is shamed about how your body looks. Part of MEDA's original mission was actually around increasing the awareness of eating disorders and helping people understand that eating disorders don't discriminate. One thing I think MEDA is really good at doing is thinking out of the box. So we don't have one specific treatment modality that gets applied to everybody across the board.
MEDA has been a life changer. It's a fantastic resource. The people are great. The community is great. The programming is interesting and varied. The flexibility of meeting people where they are is amazing.
I'm just so grateful for MEDA.
Her recovery began in significant part because of the resources that we found through MEDA.
There's a couple wonderful resources that MEDA has provided for me. The most prominent one being the online group, and that has been a lifeline for me.
I support MEDA because I love their mission to support everybody in recovery.
Improving access to care is part of MEDA's mission and vision. And we actually do that through kind of a multi-lens or multi-pronged approach. Yes, we absolutely have things like scholarships for services. We have the online recovery community. We have group programming, individual services. but we also train clinicians.
Being comfortable in your body, I think, is really important. I don't think we really talk about it enough.
In order to be there for someone, you have to be healthy yourself, and you need to take care of yourself.
I think back to where I was 5 years ago and the person I was then, and I'm like, wow, that's like a completely different person than I am today.
This is a journey. Recovery is possible.